Well, let's take you straight there to RAF Cranford, where Prince William is about to make his first flight.
Yes, there he is, Flying Officer William Wales, with his instructor there, about to get into the aircraft here for the latest stage of his RAF training. You can probably see him here. He's just going to do a few basic checks around the aircraft here for the next few minutes. This part of his general training here in the RAF at RAF Cranwell, where he is going to be for the next few months until April. So the basic checks around the aircraft going on here. The weather, I have to say, is pretty miserable, but they are still, of course, going to fly. It has been the weather has been pretty poor, Prince William has told me this morning, generally for his time here. This is his 9th day at RAF Cranwell, and it has hampered the amount of flying hours he's been able to do. But yesterday he did his first solo flight, a real nerve-wracking experience for any trainee pilot, but he did do that, and that seemed to go well. Today, though, he will be flying again with his instructor, so won't be going solo today. A number of things he's going to do when he does finally get on board shortly. Obviously, the takeoff. They are then going to practice stalling. There are going to be a simulation of an emergency fire, making an emergency call, some circuits, and then descent and landing. So you can see Flying Officer William Wales there just getting into the cockpit with his instructor. Some light rain here. They have been warned there might be a little bit of turbulence. It's very cloudy too. But getting in, strapping in. We watched him a little earlier getting his kit on, the parachute and everything, the helmet there going on. Prince William said he was enjoying his time here at RAF Cranwell tremendously. It is part of this attachment that he's doing, seconded from the army to the RAF, really for him to grow accustomed to other parts of the military ahead of the time, of course, when as king he'll be head of the armed forces. So going on board now, you can see them getting strapped in. They'll be closed into that aircraft there, the training aircraft here at RAF Cranwell, and then they will take off, of course, with the assistance of the instructor there.
Daniela, I know you've spoken to Prince William about his flying lessons. What's he said about how it's going?
He says it's going very well. I think it was a real milestone yesterday, getting that solo flight out the way. He said that he hadn't actually been warned about it. He was expecting it just to be another routine flight with his instructor. But he said all of a sudden the instructor said, off you go, do a solo flight. And he said it was a very nerve-wracking experience, but as he put it to me, he said, you know, thankfully he hasn't been billed for a plane. So clearly glad that he didn't crash or anything, but he said it was a very sort of exhilarating experience. He's very happy to have done it. Flying, of course, a lifelong ambition for Prince William. His father learnt to fly with the RAF, his grandfather too, the Duke of Edinburgh. It's something he's always wanted to do. Just been given the thumbs up there, so I think we're shortly going to see that aircraft moving off from the runway here at RAF Cranwell, ready for him to go up in the air. I mean, it must be an extremely nerve-wracking experience, to be honest, for Prince William here doing this. He's actually doing it in front of
in front of television cameras with his trainer. Do we know when he'll be going solo?
Well, he flew solo for the first time, away, of course, from the cameras yesterday. That was his first solo flight, took him by surprise. But what we're seeing here, as we see the aircraft taxiing down the short runway here at RAF Cranwell, is a flight with his instructor. So he is going to be with his instructor here, the person who has been assigned to him for the duration of his time with the RAF here at Cranwell. We will see him now taxi down the runway, ready for the takeoff here. As I said, Flying Officer William Wales, he is here. There are very few formalities, it seemed this morning, watching some of the early morning briefings. Just called William, referred to as William by his instructors. He seemed very much at ease and looked as though he was enjoying himself. So no obvious nerves, I have to say, although it can't be easy having to do this with so many eyes on you, because of course all the people that he's training with are recruits to the RAF. He is here on secondment from the army, from the household cavalry. So a rather slightly different situation for him, and it has meant that he's had a little bit of ribbing. But Prince William, another aircraft just coming in over the top of him there, but it looks like he's just beginning to move down the runway to take off.
Just watching the pictures, Daniela, of him turning around, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it probably seems an incredibly slow process from the moment he got in, but you have to remember this is, of course, a trainee pilot here. This isn't somebody who's really stocked up very many flying hours at all. And this is a training flight, although it is in front of the cameras here. It is part of his training, so there are obviously certain elements that need to be covered. And certain routines that need to be followed. It isn't just a show flight, it's part of what he does every day here at RAF Cranwell. So they did the checks of the aircraft before they get on. He's obviously had some general engine checks when he's been on board, the pre-flight checks that any pilot would do before they fly. And it looks as though now he is getting in a position to take off, just at the end of the runway, lining up. And I expect very shortly we are going to see him take the aircraft down that runway with his instructor at his side. He won't be doing this part solo. He will be taking part, of course, in the takeoff, and he will have some tasks on board to do, but this is not a solo flight, and it will be something that he is going to do here, the takeoff, in conjunction with his instructor.
So lots of safety procedures to be carried out by the Prince himself. No plane prepared for him, as some royals would perhaps be used to.
Yes, exactly. No, yeah, he is he's enjoying his time here very much indeed, but a completely new experience for him here at RAF Cranwell, learning to fly. Although it is something that he said has fulfilled a lifelong ambition for him. I think here we go now. Finally, Prince William, after all of those pre-flight checks, Flying Officer William Wales on the latest stage of his RAF training. Seemingly a smooth takeoff there, which I think will come as a great relief to him, doing this in front of so many cameras.